Afternoon garage. Well, I'm smiling like this because I'm going to cover one of my subjects that I've been wanting to do for a long time and figure out a solution and maybe why it's happening. It's these damn Bosch mechanical fuel injectors. They're the bane of my existence. I don't like them because they're really the thing that, well, makes your mechanical injection system run like hell. A lot of the times they clog, sometimes they drip, and they cause erratic idle problems. Anyway, I'd like to figure out why these things actually do what they do. So I have another car that has these. I have a few Porsche 911s that have CIS in it. And I have a DeLorean, which also has a Bosch cage Jetronic system in it, identical to the DeLorean, but of course it's in a V6 configuration. But anyway, I have purchased so many of these damn injectors and they just seem to kind of go bad all the time. I do know that you can have rust issues inside the fuel system, but you know, nothing really comes out of these things too much. But anyway, I have some Berrymans I'm going to use, and that's supposed to actually clear these injectors out pretty well. So let's go back to the bench and I'll do a test on the first 6, see how they work and clean them up and see how well I did. Wish me luck. All right, now it's time to deal with these injectors. So these injectors were in pretty bad shape. They had a lot of rust down the center. So I took them on the wire wheel and I cleaned them up and cleaned up the threads on the end. And I actually cleaned all the way to the bottom of the injector there. And I think they look pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and use these. This one has a little bit of rust damage in the middle, but it's not going to matter because the sealing O-ring goes on the top here. But nothing's going to matter anyway if they don't flow well. So what I was going to do was I was going to do like a pre-test and then a post-test. That's what I would normally do, but I didn't really have any proof that there was one cylinder that was firing any worse than the other. The whole damn engine failed. So what I think what I want to do, rather than push any particulate down into the pintle area, I think I want to clean them first. So I'll clean them in the ultrasonic cleaner. And that's this machine here. This is actually for like a EFI system, and it has a harness that plugs in there and it actually fires the injectors. I had another video that I did with a 3.2 liter Porsche engine where I cleaned the EFI injectors. And that was pretty interesting, but this is going to be something completely different because these are fired by pressure. I keep on getting these whenever I order an oil cooler. This seems to come with them, you know, whether I'm cooling a transmission or an oil cooler. It seems to come with these things, and I got the thing just screwed right on top of there. It's actually got the same like conical fit. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of plug it into here, and then just kind of with this thing I can regulate the pressure, put a clamp on it, and then dump it into the reservoir just as I would test any other injector if I was doing an EFI setup. So first, this thing has an ultrasonic tank in the top of it. Let's clean these injectors up, and well, I'm going to use the Berrymans B12 here, and then of course on the other tank on this thing I'm going to fill it up with mineral spirits, and then what we'll do is we'll hook each injector up and see what the flow rates are and see what the spray pattern is.
Two hours later.
Alright, that's pretty good. Pull one out here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. But really, we'll know when we get them flowing through here. So I put that fitting on here. So we'll screw this on and see what it does. Alright, so I have it on a mode that's just going to run the pump, and I can adjust the speed right here. So basically I'm going to have to overcome the pressure of the injector in order for it to actually open and start spraying, which I think is about 30 pounds. There we go. There we go, it's open now. You can turn it on and off. I think one of the most important things is to make sure that, there we go. Oh. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, I'll tell you what. Turn that off and we'll hook up another one of these. Get to that opening point here. There we go, it's opened. It's got a not a very good spray pattern. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of spraying all over the place in there. Let's say there's something a little wrong with this one. Alright, now we'll do the third one. Just starting to open. There we go. Well, it looks like it's working pretty good too. Well, they make an interesting noise, and now when you shut off, the pump's still running, but the injector's not dripping. So this one, I think, is good too. Alright, here we go. We'll try fourth one here. Third one. Fourth one. Well, it's starting to drip a little bit. And some brown stuff came out. Actually, this one died too. Number 5. Well, it looks pretty good too. So we got 3 good ones and 3 bad ones. So I'm going to take these 2 bad ones, throw them in the Berryman for maybe another hour in the ultrasonic cleaner, see if I can't knock some sense into these.
20 minutes later.
Alright, so I tried to work these 4 in here, and you know what, I couldn't really get them. They would spray for a little bit and then they would clog up. I actually tried opening the pintle and kind of back flushing them a little bit. That didn't work at all for me.
24 hours later.
Alright, so I let those injectors hang out in the bath overnight. Actually, they sat in there for longer than 24 hours. And so I'm going to go try one of these things. I also let these things sit in the bath at a separate time. These are the other mechanical injectors for the other car I was working on. So I'm going to hook one of these up and we'll see how well they spray. Then we'll use the one with the green tape on it here. Okay, initially I can see that they drip. So we'll turn this one up, see what it does. You can see that weird spray pattern in there. It looks like an old man with a prostate problem. So, plus this is closed off. We're not getting any volume. You can see that's pretty terrible. Plus, it just never shuts off. Well, that's no good. But you can see this injector was terrible. Not only was there a poor spray pattern, but it never shut off, and there's not enough volume. So it's got to be clogged with something. So what I was able to do is I took some 22 gauge wire, I put a hoop in it, and then if you look underneath the microscope here, I was able to crack that pintle open. So that's going to let it flow both ways. Now that I got that pintle permanently lodged open, I was going to throw some cleaning fluid or some test fluid through this both ways. And I tried that, and even though it sat in the ultrasonic tank overnight, and also I was able to back flush it both ways, it didn't really improve at all. So what I found out online is if you cut this open, you look inside, there's a filter right about here, and well, that gets clogged. And it gets clogged with, well, particulate from your fuel distributor, any rust that might be going through the system, that would get clogged. But you back flush it, you think that that would get that out of there, but I think what's happening is it's stuck in between the pintle valve and after the filter, and it's just kind of going back and forth. So what I know about rust is that muriatic acid dissolves the crap out of rust. So you definitely want to use this outside. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cap one of the ends off, and then I'm going to flow muriatic acid in here. Maybe I'll put a stopper in the bottom, and then kind of flow it back and forth with a syringe, and see if I can't clean that rust out of there. Alright, you can see by that sight right there that, well, this is pretty much full of acid, so we'll let that sit there for a few minutes. See all that bubbling going on out of the top there. Now from plating, when you use acid, you're either stripping a coating or you're stripping rust. I think you're dissolving some rust here.
20 minutes later.
Alright, looks like it's flowing pretty good, so now what we'll do is we'll pull the little horseshoe out of there and see how well it sprays. Volume looks pretty good, spray pattern looks really good. Alright, here's one more. I'm throwing injector in. So this is pretty much how I think they're supposed to run. You can see there's no dripping or anything. Nice spray pattern there. You can see it shuts off completely. Pump's still running. Hear that noise it's making. Do a volume test.
Perfect.
Alright, that's pretty good. I think that's how they're supposed to operate. Alright, that one looks pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll pull this out. I'll blow all the rest of the cleaning fluid out with compressed air. I'm going to put some water dryer 40 in it and probably just squirt that in there until the pintle valve opens up, sprays a little bit out, and that way we can store these things and, well, not have it rust up again. Looks pretty good. See how I do with the rest of them. Wow, I can't believe that just happened. So I finally figured it out, and actually, you know, I ran some of the DeLorean injectors through, and they were a little bit harder to clean out. I think that they had a lot more rust particulate in it. So what I did was I just pried the pintle valve open in each one of them, dropped in some muriatic acid for a few hours, and, you know, wished for the best. I don't know if there's anything in there that, you know, the acid would eat up, like, I don't know, maybe some kind of solder or plastic or something like that. But if there is, they're for sure not going to work here after a while, and I think that they work pretty good. So on the injectors for this 2.7 CIS system, they actually were, I had to clean them probably twice to get them to really start singing like that. And, you know, I was really surprised to know that, you know, at first when I tested them, everything looked really good. And the longer I let them run, the more they just kind of clogged up and eventually stopped. So definitely if you're going to try to go test these things as I did, wear some safety goggles and let them run enough time. Probably should have put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video, but you know, there was a lot of things I did with that acid and, you know, with the cleaners and put my fingers in it and solvents and stuff like that. It's probably not a good idea to do that every day, but hey, you know what? I was excited and I figured out a long time problem that I had. So if you get anything out of this, give me a like and subscribe if you haven't. Lots more to come. All right, here's a good one. That's about all you get. See what happens when I clean that up. Oh, I think it clogged.
Two hours later.
Here's that same injector. Perfect.